Well, welcome to another episode of World Strong Live, presented tonight by Concept Agritech. Hopefully you're out in the
What do you
field.
say about staying up late with a couple cheap bottles of wine?
That's the wrong Houston Bernard right there.
That's the other Houston Bernard.
How about that? That was our backup in case something went awry here. But as we were saying, God, highly trained professional here, just trying to get out of his own way. Welcome to another episode of Rural Strong Live, presented tonight by Concept Agritech. And hopefully you're out in the field right now, and it's time to get your full season soil and plant health plan together. And the folks at Concept Agritech use the latest technologies in agronomy, biology, and chemistry to increase your yield, keep pest, weed, and disease pressures at bay, and boost your return on investment. I hope you go check them out, conceptagritech.com. Our special guest tonight comes to us from the Boston, Massachusetts area. He's taking the country music world by storm, and he's got a new single out produced by our friend Bill McDermott, and we can't wait to tell you all about that later on in the show here. But first off, Houston Bernard, welcome into the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
How you been?
Pretty good, pretty busy. It's awesome that it's really opened up the past year or so, and just hitting the ground running. And because of the pandemic, I had a chance to take a breath and regroup, do a ton of writing, and I'm just trying to make the most of it.
Well, I tell you what, we've got a lot of ground to plow here tonight. But before we do, would you open us up in a song?
Sure. Here's a song about all your hardworking people. It's called "People We Are." We try to do the right thing. I think maybe someday it'll come back around. Oh, with everything that life brings, we've had our share of ups and downs. We know where we're from and don't stop till it's done. It's sun up to sundown. Life in a little town. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work hard and throw in a little bit of play in with the barbed wire on the fence post. Tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. Get a piece of mind on a piece of land. If you can't pay cash, you don't need it that bad. We look you in the eye, shake your hand. You can bet it's as solid as a signed contract. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work hard and throw in a little bit of play in. With the barbed wire on the fence post, tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. We know where we're from and don't stop till it's done. It's sun up to sundown, life in a little town. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work hard and throw in a little bit of play in. With the barbed wire on the fence post, tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. Yeah, that's the kind of people we are. Yeah, that's the kind of people we are.
Yes, sir. That's the kind of people we got right here on Rural Strong Live. Man, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Well, this is the first for the show tonight. We've never had an artist on here with ties to Alaska, but that changes tonight. We should note that you were born in Oklahoma, but later moved to Wasilla, Alaska, which I never knew existed until earlier in the decade with Sarah Palin. And now it seems every now and again Wasilla pops up. So for a smaller town, not near anything else in the lower 48, it seems to get its share of the spotlight.
It does. When I lived there, there were about 3,000 people. But I also lived in Anchorage and Big Lake. But Wasilla was the last place I lived. Real small town. Interesting place. Surrounded by ginormous mountains and a lot of wildlife.
A little different than Boston, huh?
Yeah, very different. My mom was actually from this area, and when my dad from Oklahoma was touring, he met her in Massachusetts. And then when they, he was a broke musician with two kids, and so he rejoined the Army, and they sent him up to Alaska, and we were up there for 10 years. And when they split up, we came back to Massachusetts.
What was the country music scene like there in Alaska?
I have no idea. I just remember, actually, we were at there's a place called Matsu Resort, or I'm not sure if it's still there now, but there was always live music happening there. And, my parents would hang out at the bar, and we'd go fish or go swimming because there's a whole lake, and we would just spend, every weekend there, playing with the ducks and trying to catch minnows. And and there was always live music. There was different events. So it was probably, I'm not, I remember hearing and seeing some of my first bands there.
When was it that country music really hit your radar screen?
Well, it was always kind of on the radar, just kind of in the background. And I put it off for a long time, especially after I moved to Massachusetts, because we were in a very urban area, Worcester. And, country wasn't that popular. And I heard other music. I was always into Elvis and stuff, but in the background, I was always listening to like Dwight Yoakam and Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. And about 12 years ago, I thought I was done with music because I had already toured around doing some underground rock and punk and different styles. But I've always been into country music. My dad played, and I was listening to it. But I at that time, I was like, well, I can't really stomach a lot of this country music coming out of Nashville. It's not really my thing. It's not my thing. And so I decided to start an outlaw country band, which was my thing. And I really found my voice there. I was like, why did I not do this my entire life? Like everybody on my dad's side of the family who I didn't grow up with. And then I started writing, and 4+ albums later, and many, many shows. And I'm very happy to be here.
So I love this line in your bio. Houston Bernard's country roots run deep, with a family tree that includes songwriters, touring musicians, and an outlaw gunfighter named Bitter Creek. If you know anything about music history, you know that the Eagles recorded a song called Bitter Creek on their legendary Desperado album. Well, that song was written about your great-great-grandfather, George Newcomb, wasn't it?
That's right. He's in the Wild Bunch. And he was in the Doolin gang and the Dalton gang for a while. And they're like, oh, you're too wild. They kicked him out. And so he started the Wild Bunch and got into a lot of trouble, apparently. Got himself shot while he was sleeping. For the reward money, it was like $5,000, which was a tremendous amount of money back then, 1895 or so. And got shot by his girlfriend's brothers. But everyone has a different story. I found many different stories, but that's the one that seems to be the one I most heard.
But not everybody is immortalized by the Eagles.
That's true. That's pretty amazing, actually.
That's pretty awesome.
I didn't even know about it until this Canadian artist told me, because I had posted a picture about my great-grandfather. And he's like, yeah, that's the album that, the Eagles. And I looked it up. I looked all the song lists, and I was like, what? Couldn't believe it.
That's pretty awesome. Have you covered it in your shows at all?
No. I don't know.
Home, huh?
It's a good song, but it's not one of those songs that people sing along to.
Right. Now, you're talking about your dad being a musician. Tell me a bit about his background and how it influenced you, if it did at all.
Sure. So my uncle and my dad, my uncle was the main, pusher of the music, and my dad played bass, and he was also a really good singer, still is. And, I believe, so my dad went to the Army right out of high school, and then he caught up with my brother up in Massachusetts at Fort Devens, and they were playing music up there. My uncle his song Muddy Mississippi was recorded by Reba McEntire. And, they were backup bands for people like Tanya Tucker and Wanda Jackson and Dave Dudley, people like that. I remember they once opened up for George Jones, and poor guy was so drunk that they had to hold him up to finish the show.
Man,
it makes me sad, because it's such a talent, and
right.
and alcoholism is such a disease. But he's had a ton of stories, that he's told me over the years playing music, and he's still playing a little bit here and there with his arthritis.
Oh man,
it's rough.
So like Adam Warner, who we had on the show last week, you also served in the military before heading into the country music business, except you were in the Army. First of all, thank you for your service, but tell me a bit about your time in the Army and what you took away from that experience.
Well, I had some rough times growing up. So I think when I joined the military, I was looking for a little bit more discipline, and I got it, and I excelled. I was a master fitness trainer. PT, I loved PT, and I won a bunch of awards and stuff, and had some great experiences, some challenging experiences. And then I'm still in touch with a good handful of friends that, lifelong friends. So, and my brother served as well. A lot of people in my family have served. My brother served even longer than me, and he's been on every continent. But I've also seen, the tough times soldiers can have when they come back. So I do my best to get involved whenever I can with veterans events. I've been trying still to try to get out there for the to try to perform for soldiers overseas when, I'm trying to get on the tours, but it's not easy.
Right.
But, the military was an important part of my life. My entire life, I always wanted to join. And then I also wanted to go to school. So that was a helpful way of doing it. And so
So I asked this of Adam Warner last week. I'll ask this of you as we head into Memorial Day weekend. As folks go and enjoy their cookouts and, boating and so forth. What is it that you hope they'll do to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom?
Well, toast to them and appreciate what you have, because it's I think sometimes that we feel as Americans that our security is stronger than it is. I feel like when you have episodes like January 6th, or maybe there's a pandemic, or maybe there's like what happened here in Boston and Cambridge a while back, the water was tainted or polluted or something, so you didn't have water, so people were fighting in the aisles just to get water. I think we should really appreciate what the military does for us, the first responders, the police, the good apples, that bust their ass and put their life on the line for us every day. I think a toast to them and to honor them. And I think for me, the big thing is about being kind, showing some kindness. I think with freedom comes a lot of, kindness and generosity. So maybe you can do something like that.
So
wave those flags high.
How much do those situations that you just described there, how much does that play into your songwriting? I mean, do you sit back and look at those at all? Does that inspire you at all to write?
Well, I understand that people feel like they have to go, left or right. And there's a whole bunch of us that are in the middle. And there's a whole bunch of us that don't want to argue and that want to compromise. Hey, you feel differently. That's fine. Let's figure out a compromise. I mean, our country was based on compromise. If you look through the Constitution and all of those words, little words were, I was just watching this BBC documentary on America. It was really interesting to get an objective view. And they were just talking about little words, compromise.
Right.
But, showing kindness and doing the right thing is big for me. So yeah, that plays a lot into the music that I write, the music, and the songs that I record. People We Are, the song I just played, is about working hard and trying to do the right thing, not judging others and putting them down, or being mean
Right.
or trying to take over the government because you don't like what you hear or whatever it is. It's like that's not how it works.
Right.
So anybody into that's not my bag. I believe in kindness and doing the right thing.
So you got out of the army, and tell me a bit about what that journey looked like, and when you decided you were going to try to make a go of it in country music.
Well, I was always playing music, and even when I was in the army, they used to call me Elvis. So I was always singing and writing songs. And then when I got out, I tried to I finished school, and then I moved to New York City, and I was doing a different style of music for a while, and it was pretty crazy. It was underground. I was touring Europe and performing over there. But country music was always in the background, at least outlaw stuff. And then I started another project that when I came back to Boston, and that ran its course. And then I was just like, well, I started another business. So I was kind of doing that. I'm like, well, I guess I'm done with music. I was like, but you know what? I've never done country music. That would be a shame for me not to do country music. So, but then I was like, well, I'll play some outlaw country. So I played some outlaw country music and really got into more of it the more I learned, and just doing more writing. And then my booking agent was like, well, if you learn some modern songs, I can get you more gigs and higher paying gigs. And I'm like, well, that sounds good. So I learned some modern songs that I could get along with. And then I've just been writing more and more, and ended up opening up for some national acts, and just learning and writing and learning and writing. And 10 years down the road here, things are going pretty well. I'm traveling a lot more. I'm getting some great opportunities and meeting more people. I'm writing with some great writers. So, it's a journey. I thought that was going to be, short, and it turns out I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. How can I not? It truly is like breathing. It's the most honest I've ever felt. And I feel like some of the songs that I've written, some of the shows that I've done really create experiences or some peace in people's lives from the feedback that I've gotten. And that, I feel like I'm getting more out of that than people seem to be getting. As far as, even though they're saying, I really enjoyed this, just changed my life. I played the song all the time when I missed my mother, she passed away, or whatever it might be. But it's a privilege and a joy to be able to give back whenever I can.
Tell me a bit about coming to Nashville and making the connections that you need to make it possible to get a foot in the door and starting to make things happen.
Well, gosh, man, there's a couple 100,000 people moving there all the time. It's just like, I think my target hasn't been fame as much as it's been the journey of trying to do better at my craft. And I think that has resonated with people. Having experience in life resonates, because when you write, you're writing from a place of experience. Right. And I think that resonates with people when you come up with topics. It's not very pop oriented, though I don't mind pop songs. Right. I actually like some pop music, but that's just not my style and my vibe. And Nashville is a little bit more pop oriented, even though there's a lot of talent and stuff there. So Texas is kind of what I'm really leaning towards. But I was lucky enough to find my manager. She believes in me. She's believed in me for quite a few years now. And she helped me because I was kind of all over the place. I was doing like mixing prog rock with like country music, and like it was all over the place. But we had some interest in once I started listening to her, things started going better. Which is hard for a stubborn dude like myself. But we started getting more targeted. She said, there's a label that's interested, but you don't sound very Nashville. I'm like, well, that's the point. I didn't want to sound Nashville. And then I was open-minded. She's like, well, let's give it a shot. Bill McDermott. I went down there. I was like, oh, studio musicians. I mean, we got it done quicker, cheaper, better. You know, to have that level of musicianship and experience to take your songs, really just give them that last 20, 30%. So that's what I've been doing now, just working with Bill. And just really focus on having quality music.
All right.
You know, and because at the end of the day, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be successful, make good money, and make a living, and be able to give back as much as I'd like to. But I can promise myself that I'll make the best music I can. And if nothing else, I have that to be proud of. Even if it's just me and a handful of my biggest fans.
Right.
If that's all I have, that's enough. I'm pretty proud of what I've done. And I have a whole bunch of songs that I've written I haven't recorded yet. I've got new songs that are coming out that I've already recorded. So I'm enjoying the journey and pretty proud of the experience. But the idea of like getting your foot in the door, it's so difficult to think big picture sometimes when you really should just be focusing on your journey. That's what I've done. And that's how I found my happiness, because you can get really disillusioned. Trying to, I always say, being successful in music is like winning the lottery, like
Right.
2 or 3 times in a row.
Right. No, there's no question. Well, I tell you what, I want to share this clip from a recent live performance. Now, most performers living in Nashville, they've done the bar scene for so long that they'd rather get out of the town and play throughout the country and build a fan base. And with the exception of a couple stages, one being the Opry, another being the Ryman Auditorium. But outside of that, Whiskey Jam at Winter's Bar and Grill, just off Music Row, has to be the stage that folks would want to play at, because it's just it's a very enthusiastic crowd, very intimate setting. And you recently had a chance to play there.
Oh my gosh, I had been wanting to play that for years, and it's a legendary space. Ward is a great guy. He's the energy there is amazing. And of course, I don't live there, so when I come to town, I invite all my friends, so I get to see all my friends I haven't seen in a while, which is really cool. And Whiskey Jam is just, gosh, it's legendary.
All right. Well, I'm going to drop us out here for a second. I'm going to play this clip so everybody can get a taste of what that night was like here.
Let's hear from your brother, Houston Bernard. Thanks, boy. What's going on, everybody? Houston Bernard, that was badass. Thank you, man.
And I would agree. It was. And for the folks who haven't been there, imagine a place just shoulder to shoulder, people that you can't hardly walk through, and music so loud and talking and everything else that you can't hear the person next to you. and that's the kind of environment that is. But electric for that kind of music.
For sure. I was a little concerned doing that. First song is called In My Blood. That's the song I wrote about my family.
Uh-huh.
And I was afraid, like, because it's kind of like it seems a little down tempo, you know, and a lot of times you're told to play some up tempo stuff because it's a high energy crowd. And I just went with it anyway because it's such a powerful song to me. And I thought it would resonate, and it felt like it did, you know.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's one of the reasons why people have come to want to play that room, because if you can command that room and get the kind of response you hope to get, man, I think it puts you on the right track.
Well, it definitely validates, you know, like that I'm not wasting my time.
Yes.
And sometimes it feels like you're wasting your time because it's like you're spinning your wheels, you're doing everything you think of. You know, like when I travel, I'm always investing extra money, you know, ads, the whole thing. Like you're independent, you're trying to figure it out, trying to figure out the algorithms of trying to build a fan base and connect with people and be as honest as you can, all of these things. So it's like sometimes when there's a little lull, it's like, am I wasting my time? But then you go to Whiskey Jam and you get some feedback and it's positive and you're like, it lifts you up and it's like, okay, all right, little validation. Thank you. You know,
I know exactly what you speak of, man. You just got to quit listening to those little voices in your head, because I think
slap it out of you.
Right, the crowd tells you that you're doing the right thing, man. Tell us a bit about Houston Bernard, the songwriter. How has that craft developed over the years for you?
Well, I started writing like little jingles when I was like 5 years old. Then I started recording and you know, writing songs and then recording my songs and cataloging them when I was 11 or 12. And then off and on, like different styles of music I would write. But I never had any training in writing. And, you know, some people don't need that, I guess. Some people get it from just listening to other songwriters. But I have found that when I co-write, the songs are always better. So I do a lot of that. There's a few songs that I just have written by myself that I'm extremely proud of. A song called Happy off my first country album. Home is in Your Arms. There's a bunch of songs actually, but I'm just finding like when I write with veteran writers like Britton Cameron or Doug Cahan, I mean, they've been breathing this, you know, like it's my friend always compares it to like, you know, baseball players being on steroids. It's like when you go to Nashville, all of these writers are like on steroids of like some of the best in the world. Right. And even if you're not writing with the best in the world, everybody very close to that, everybody that's working on this craft for years is so good. I put a lot of my energy into other things. I wish I had moved down there when I was 18 years old and just owned the craft. I think I'd be a great writer. I'm okay. I'm always trying to get better. Right. But I love to write with great writers too. So that's me as a songwriter. I know my limitations. I know how to improve. I know to learn. And but when I usually have like what I usually write. I'll do is I'll have an idea for a song, or be really moved by something. Actually, when the Ukraine was invaded, I wrote this song, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this overwhelming feeling out, because I'm not going to, you know, put on my uniform and go to Ukraine and fight a war. But what can I do? I can donate. I can do my art, which is writing songs. So I wrote the song called "Let Me Be." I wrote this with Britton Cameron, and to me, it's like my Imagine, right? Or my We Are the World, or something like it. It just really encapsulates everything I was trying to say in a very broad yet specific way. And it's not just about, it's about, you know, kind of like bullies. Just let me be. Like, why do you have to invade your thoughts, your, you know, intentions on my life? Let me be. Let me live the way I feel is good and right and just.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but do you know it well enough to play it?
I don't.
Okay. Never mind.
Oh my gosh, I shouldn't talk about songs that I. But let me be. These are the world we live in. I wouldn't do it justice right now.
There you go. Well, that's
I'll-
no problem.
I'll
I
save
did
it.
see a clip of it online there, so
Okay.
go dig it up and go check it out if you are so inclined. After this program, in the meantime, though, what we can do, you got a song that you put out here around the beginning of the pandemic, "American Dream." What can you tell us about that song?
So that song was written by Braden Counts and Jason Humer, and we have the same manager, Braden does, and so I'm always looking for songs from other writers because you never know what'll speak to me. And I heard that song immediately. I knew. I was like, oh, that's me. That is me. I've got to do that song. And the vibe was very. I consider my music kind of heartland country. That's where I find a lot of my values and inspiration. And so the vibe was very heartland country, like Springsteen, Mellencamp, 84-85. You know, it's like with that snare hit right at the beginning, almost like Born in the USA. But it catches the vibe, and the song itself. What really spoke to me is not, yes, you know, patriotic and all of that, because of course I am, but it also said I'm not quite as happy. You know, I'm chasing this dream that was painted and that I believe in, but it's pretty hard. I've been doing this a while and I'm struggling, you know, and a lot of us are struggling. It feels like it shouldn't be this challenging. So like the line of a 30-year loan, like the idea of buying a house and having to pay for it for, you know, half of your life seems pretty insane to me. If you think about it, you know, the idea of living on credit, or, you know, a lot of people do that. They're struggling. And I think it comes down to our leadership, but it also comes down to how we plan and take care of our money and manage our money. There's a lot of factors going in on that, but just trying to get there, trying to make that dream happen. That's what I'm doing, trying to make my dream happen. And I know there's a lot of people out there doing it too, and they're struggling. So with that song, it's like, yes, we're doing this, but it's also like, it could be easier. It'd be nice if it'd be easier, you know? So it's a touch of cynicism or disappointment in the song, but I think it's still overwhelmingly, you know, let's do this. Let's find our dreams. Let's make it happen.
Well, let's share some inspiration with the folks now. Here's the video for American Dream.
All right.
Johnny was born in the heartland, raised in a little farmhouse. He worked the land with his two hands, didn't wanna let his dad down. Taught to read the Bible, dated the homecoming queen. After graduation and 2 pink lines, he was chasing an American dream, the one that we all believe in, and we all wanna be free. But a 30-year loan and overtime weeks keep us chasing an American dream. Annie's a real good mother, stays at home with the kids. With Johnny gone all day long, she's wondering if this is it. A month lasts longer than money. Johnny's coming apart at the seams. By the looks of it all, it's funny that we call this the American to a sacrifice. It's the ultimate price they paid. But it's hard to enjoy that freedom when Uncle Sam's got you slipping away. It's what they all believe in, and we all wanna be free. But 30 years alone and overtime weeks keep us chasing that American dream. Yeah, chasing that American dream. Oh, chasing that American dream. Chasing that American dream. Hey! Oh, yeah!
Powerful stuff there from Houston Bernard.
Thanks, man. I haven't watched that in a long time. That's I'm pretty proud of that. That it really communicated everything I had on my mind.
I love it. Well, before we go any further, I wanted to send a few shout outs here to folks that have jumped on tonight. Let's say hey to Marilyn Young, watching down in Florida. Also, Mary Womble in Tennessee, checking us out. I want to say hi to Laura Thorne out there. Our friend Casey Shepard with the Oklahoma Farm Report and Radio Oklahoma Ag Network for checking in. Hey there, Casey. Hope you're doing good tonight. Brandon Myers, our friend Danielle Cleha, checking in today. We're going to have to get her on the show one of these days. Another great artist. Also, Riley Lum, another up-and-coming artist out of New York State, watching the show tonight. So thank y'all for taking the time with us tonight, checking us out. If you're watching here, drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from so we can properly note it here. Well, your American Dream is taking you all over the country. You just did a run through Texas. How is that music received down there in the Lone Star State?
Well, so far so good. I mean, I've had some interesting experience. So I'm going from different towns. I was in Comanche and Abilene and Mason. I love that little town. And bunch of other places that I'm going again next week. But what was really cool, I only had one little acoustic gig. I'm starting off doing acoustic stuff. And what happened was I was at this radio station. I was staying in Mason. And a band had just left who did an interview. And they were listening to the radio show right after when they were leaving. And I said, hey, I'm looking for a gig tonight. If anybody has one, let me know. I'm happy to work for food. and they were listening, and they contacted me and invited me to open up for them. So I went down to the Hunt store in Hunt, Texas. Nice. And that was my first official country music, because I've done other styles of music there, but country music gig. And that place was amazing. The people, the vibe, the band ended up being from Oklahoma. So there's some Okies like me, and I couldn't believe it. I was so excited to meet some people I probably would have known if I grew up in Oklahoma with my father. And they're great. They were great. And they've been in the scene for a while, and they said, you're going to do good here. People will like what you're doing. You fit in nicely. Something like that, along those lines. His name's Sam Cox from Ragland. Shout out to Ragland. Check them out. Ragland band, great band.
There you go.
And so far so good. And they were really receptive at that show. And then I did another acoustic thing up in Possum Kingdom, out in Grafford, Texas. It's on the big lake up there with $5 million homes surrounding the place. It was a really nice bar up there that I played, just acoustic solo. So far so good. And then of course my song's charted at 42 on the Texas Regional Country Charts, American Dream. Really proud of that, and I feel pretty welcome with that reception as well. So I'm really thankful, because I feel like I'm making up for lost time for not, growing up with my real family. No, I'm kidding. With my Oklahoma family. So it's a nice thing. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm putting a lot more energy into it, and I hope to actually be able to tour regularly with my band, and that would be great. I'd love to see more of Texas.
Well, the one thing that I've learned about Texas is if it's got the name store or country store behind it, you're going to have a good time there.
I have learned that. That is new for me.
What a great crowd, man! Just so
Yeah.
much going on in Texas, its own ecosystem, own charts,
Yep.
and they play country music the way we like it down there. Great stuff.
It's true.
And you're headed back down there June 2nd for a date, and then a few dates up the East Coast for the summertime.
Yep. And then I'm probably going. My goal is to get into Texas at least once a month, one run a month.
See if we can get that place Billy Bob's on there. That's got to be on the list, huh?
We've I need a bigger following, I think, in order for me to make that work. So I've got to do some groundwork, some grassroots, and get out there, meet some good people that might enjoy my music.
Right. So what else is on the horizon for the rest of 22 for you?
Well, we've got a lot of doing what I do costs money. So I've got a bunch of private parties, which is always fun. I love private parties, but they end up, helping invest my afford my other trips. So we got a bunch of that. I've got some festivals, got a ton of festivals all over New England. Colorado, I'm out doing a 3-day stint at Monte Vista, Colorado. It's a 100-year anniversary for the rodeo. I've been doing more rodeos lately. Love it. And so that'll be interesting. It's at 7,600 feet. And then the main act would be Dwight Yoakam, and I believe it's a Texas band, Josh Abbott Band, I think maybe.
Wow.
And then we're kind of doing the after party for 3 days, so that'll be fun. And then I'll be out in California again at San Diego at Moonshine Beach, Moonshine Flats. Love those venues. Love San Diego. I love tacos, so you can go to any taco place and it'll be like, oh, that tastes different. That's really good. Oh, that tastes different. That's really good. Same thing with Texas. It's like every place you go for like Mexican food is great. Love it.
Well, we've had quite a few artists to come on here in the past that have had a great experience at Moonshine Flats too. They really do a great job of taking care of artists out there.
They do a great job.
So my goal for you is to get on the stage at Billy Bob's. What are some of your long-term goals for the business?
That I'd love to get, a short-term one, I guess could still be very long, is to get on a tour with an act, I don't know, somebody like Cody Johnson. I love Cody Johnson. I know it's a big ask there, so that's kind of a long road. I would love to play, obviously the Opry in Ryman. There's a bunch of stages I'd like to be on, but Billy Bob's is definitely one of them. I played Stoney's in Las Vegas, which was a stage I wanted to be on for a long time. And man, Toad out there, he's a great guy. Sometimes people will like, okay, play a lot of covers so they know if you don't know your music, play covers. Makes sense. I get it. I'll do it. Right. But he's like, play mostly originals. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think I'd get that vibe in Vegas, but I did. Right. And again, very receptive crowd, and so that was one of the things. But yeah, what is the? I can't think of it right now. Red Rock. Love to play Red Rock.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Yep.
So as we said earlier, the new single "Hangover" is out now, and it's doing quite well. It was produced, as we said, by our friend Bill McDermott, who I'm going to talk up anytime we get to talk about him on the show. He's such a force in helping artists kind of reach that next level. What was it like collaborating with Bill?
It was great. It was great. Especially the first sessions. Well, all of them have been great. But there's a communication, because I've been doing this a long time. I've been a vocalist for a long time and worked with a lot of different producers. But we immediately got to where we needed to be with communication and focus. And then like just working on the vocals, which is it's my job to do it well as I can, and communicate really well. When he's we'll do like a little workshop session before to make sure the song's where it needs to be, the right key and all that. And then the session musicians come in and they nail it. within 1 or 2 takes. It's beyond me to even, understand how that is done. And they're so true to the song. I always thought it might be too cookie cutter. Right. Yes, there's some familiarity sounding Nashville, but I've recorded like 12 songs in Nashville, 2 different sessions now, and they just feels so true to the song, and there's something different, original about it. It doesn't sound like everything else down there. It sounds like me, and pretty proud of that stuff. And then, he's very focused, so you don't want to get in his way. I've learned that. So let him do his job. That's what I usually try to do when I work with producers. I'm like, all right, you got the reins. Tell me what to do.
Right.
And then I just focus, on my thing.
So what can you tell us about the song Hangover?
Hangover is one of the, I didn't write this one, but it was written. One of the guys I write with, Willie Morrison, he's a great writer. He got a cut with Brothers Osborne, which is one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite modern country band right now.
They're great.
But Willie Morrison, I was writing with him. I was like, well, what else you got? I would say, what else you got? And so he gave me a handful of songs. I was like, ooh, yes. There's a bunch of great ones, but that was the one that worked the best for me. And it's just a fun song. I do a lot of different style songs, and I just come off of releasing a song called All We Are Is Memories. It's a very serious song. So I wanted to change it up a little bit, change gears. And it's like, yeah, let's keep having fun. Let's celebrate life. And sometimes, especially with COVID, a lot of people are staying home. So it worked out well to stay home and have a drink with your favorite person and that sort of thing. But why not do it now, midweek? If you're feeling it, couple cheap bottles of wine. Don't forget about your hangover tomorrow. You got to be ready.
Well, I tell you what, before we get out of here tonight, will you share it with us?
Sure. Hangover. What do you say about staying up late? A couple cheap bottles of wine. What do you think about shooting me winks across the kitchen counter tonight? We don't need credit cards or crowded old bars or neon setting the mood. We got a Bluetooth band and a drink in our hand and a dance floor in the living room. Working on a hangover, one sip, one kiss at a time. Working on a hangover, making the most of a Thursday night. If we wake up still a little bit drunk, girl, you know we did it all right. Working on a hangover. Tequila shots, light 'em up, coffee table flip cup, 90s country all night long. We got a pizza in the oven, we're laughing, we're loving, and buzzing 'cause there ain't nothing wrong. Working on a hangover, one sip, one kiss at a time. Working on a hangover, making the most of a Thursday night. If we wake up still a little bit drunk, girl, you know we did it all right. Working on a hangover. A hangover. There ain't no last call, we can stay all night. We ain't stopping till we're blinded by the morning light. Might hurt like hell, but we'll be alright. Yeah, the pain is just a payment for a good time. Working on a hangover, one sip, one kiss at a time. Working on a hangover, making the most of Thursday night. Yeah, if we wake up still a little bit drunk, girl, you know we did it all right. Working on a hangover. A hangover.
That's right. Well, tonight's only Monday, so pace yourself. That is, unless you're headed out to Whiskey Jam, then do what you got to do. But
That's right.
well, Houston, if folks want to follow your career, download music, or pick up some merch, where can they go to do that?
Best place to go is my website, Houston, like the city, Bernard, like the saint.com, HoustonBernard.com. But I'm on all the socials and all the streaming platforms, and I reply to everybody. I'm here. Say hello.
Well, make sure you do that. Go follow him. He's got his tour schedule on there, so go check out those dates. And if he's coming to a town near you, make sure you go get out there and bring along a friend with you, so you can go spread the word about Houston Bernard. Let's help this career
Thank
take
you.
it off like a rocket, man, because you're doing great work, and we're excited to have you on here and continue to keep taking this country music back to the country where it belongs.
Oh, sounds good to me. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Man, and I want to thank everybody else so much for joining us this week, and invite you to come back again tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, for another live stream. This time it'll be Woodsong's creator and host Michael Jonathan, whose music you hear on Rural Strong Radio. He's been doing a lot to collect instruments and raise money to benefit people in Kentucky who had instruments destroyed by last December's devastating tornadoes, that is. So we're going to get a status report on that effort and hear about some new projects that he has in the works. So hope you join us again tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, for Rural Strong Live with Michael Jonathan. Then next Tuesday, May 31st, singer-songwriter Matt Moran is going to join us to share some of his great traditional country and Americana music. Like Houston, Matt has Okie roots as well, and we can't wait to hear more about his career that's taken him all over the country. He's doing some great stuff too. So make sure you check that out. Again, that's going to be next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be adding more country music and ag-related live streams throughout the summer, so I hope you follow us for those. And the best way to get plugged in is by following us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. And we'd also be honored if you'd subscribe to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast. Each week we bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot-button industry issues, some educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Audible, Odyssey, YouTube, and of course, the new Samsung free app. And it's in all those same places. You can find our other new podcast, Ag Women Strong, with Lori Boyer. On each episode, Lori features another woman making a significant impact in the agriculture industry. So I hope you go and subscribe to Ag Women Strong. And finally, the place to find all of that great content is on our website, ruralstrongmedia.com. There you not only find Tractors and Troubadours, Ag Women Strong in these live streams, but also ag industry news, educational features, and our 24/7 internet radio station, Rural Strong Radio, which is playing the best in traditional country music and original ag programming. And Houston came on tonight, and he heard me jamming to a little Lefty Frizzell. So you never know what you're going to get there when you pop on to Rural Strong Radio, but we would love to have you along for the ride. You know, we're kind of getting to that season where everybody's out in their tractor, their sprayer, out in the shop, the barn, wherever you are. Hope you take us along with you. And we got one thing to do that's going to make that a little bit easier. The new Rural Strong Media app, which is going to give you one-touch access to all those features. We have got that coming very, very soon. We're just waiting to get the green light from the app stores. And when that's alive, we're going to let you know about it. Again, follow us on those socials and we'll let you know. But we want you to get that app on your phone or your tablet. Take us with you so you can be enjoying Rural Strong Media 24/7. Well, I tell you what, we want to say a special thank you to our sponsors tonight, Gateway Seed, Concept Agritech, and GoatLifeClothing.com. Well, friends and neighbors, the clock on the wall tells us it's time to get on out of here. So for now, for Houston Bernard, it's Brent Adams. Hope you come and join us again tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for Michael Jonathan. For now, Brent Adams signing off. We're out.